All right, everyone, welcome back to another Star Wars Galaxy of Heroes video with Fat Phil, and we're going to be talking about just like the news that we got. We've got double drops coming up, May 4th events, Jar Jar drops later today, and there's more territory battle issues, right? There's more stuff going on, so we've got some, big topics to cover today. Please like and subscribe, comment down below, let me know your thoughts. I'd love to hear from you guys. Let's give a massive shout out to our channel members for their just continued support and faith in me to bring this community good content. If you're ever interested in joining, that link is down below, along with a link to the Discord. So if you're a channel member, join the Discord. Make sure you link your Discord profile and your YouTube, and you'll get immediate access to the members only section. A lot of great conversation, questions going on in there. So thank you guys again for continuing your generosity. It's just so appreciated, and I hope you are getting better at this game and that you feel that there's worth there. So thank you guys so much. Again, let's talk about kind of all the stuff that's happening today and, what you can be doing, particularly with all this stuff, like what should you be focusing on, hoarding, all that stuff. So kind of cut to the intro real quick there before I could finish my thought. But yeah, let's work this out, right? So Jar Jar is dropping later today. As always, it is 2 o'clock Eastern Standard Time. Just so happens to coincide with Arnold's Grand Arena streams. Gotta love it, that as much of a strain as like CG has with Arnold and that relationship, they always seem to put their new releases for marquees and legendary characters during his GAC streams, which, like, let's just be perfectly honest, guys. They know what they're doing, right? Like, they know exactly what they're doing with that. So I think this release is going to be one of the most important in Galaxy of Heroes history. I say that because not only is this like an anticipated character, but it's one that I think has been very polarizing for the community. Like, people either love Gungans or they hate Gungans. There's not a lot of like people who are indifferent to Jar Jar Binks. For many of you, he probably ruined your childhood, and for some of you, you grew up thinking Jar Jar was hilarious because you were children when Phantom Menace came out. I was, I'm a little bit, I don't know. I was definitely younger when Phantom Menace came out, but I wouldn't say that I've always loved Jar Jar, but I've never really hated Jar Jar, I should say. Like, I never really hated him. Hot take. But I think this, there's a lot of things here. His kit is very, very complicated. There's a lot of areas that could go wrong. So if this release does not go well, I think that CG could be in for it, right? I think there could be some big questions that are going to need answered if this goes poorly. And poorly could be that he's beating literally everything in the game and there's nothing we can do about it. Or that he's beating nothing that he should and there's big problems. And like, the Gungans are already working really well. So this could also be a case where maybe we just don't really notice that big of a difference. So we'll have to wait and see. I have a feeling he's going to be like broken to the beyond belief, but it's just me. So I really want this to go well today. And I think there's a lot of eyes on that Arnold stream to kind of see how this guy, changes the game. And this is before even the Datacron set. Now, double drops, while not confirmed by Capital Games via the forums, have been confirmed through other sources that double drops are going to be dropping in the game. So, yes, I am hoarding energy, and I think it's a good idea to hoard energy. But I just want to make sure you guys understand something, right? That when you're hoarding energy, I don't think you should stop farming your hard nodes. I know that's going to sound crazy, but you need to think about that with hard nodes, there's a limited number of attempts every single day. That you can't just refresh that, you can refresh the node, but it comes at a crystal cost, but you don't get unlimited attempts at Boss Nass and Paz Vizsla, right? You don't get unlimited attempts here. So you think over the next 2 days as you're hoarding energy, if you're like, oh, well, I'll farm my hard nodes then, just think about, like, you took 2 days off of farming. So say that you get 2 shards during that double drops, just for the sake of argument, right? You get a 2 shard drop. That made up for the 2 days that you didn't farm. But then that day that, the double drops happen, you didn't get anything. So, and again, you can say the whole, 0 times 2 is still 0. So double drops with hard nodes, it's a lot harder to get value out of it because there's limited attempts. You're going to have to do more refreshes. And if you just don't get anything, you don't get anything. It happens. So I still think farming all of your hard nodes is the way to go. And I'm even going to go as far as to say that I'm even spending my energy to get through my daily objectives, right? That I still spent Cantina energy. I still spent mod energy because I see a lot of value in the daily prize box. Not only getting 27 extra crystals, right? The crystals for this, but you're also getting the core gear. You're getting some Kyrotex plus the additional crystals, and that stuff does add up over time. Is it massive? No, but it's like 3 Kyrotex pieces, which they value those at what, 28 crystals per piece. So you figure you're getting like 100 extra crystals just for doing your dailies every day. I think that's worth it personally. It's just me. So yeah, I would still do your dailies. And if you're farming hard nodes, I would still do those refreshes. The difference is, like, I'm still hoarding regular energy, which this is the stuff I would have spent on Kyrotech today, right? So like I would have done more Kyrotech farming. I would have done more ship node farming for gear. I'm going to bank that energy, try and get, make my stuff back on double drops, but I'm still going to farm the hard nodes. So then mods and Cantina, I'm going to do the bare minimum leading up to double drops because I can take advantage of that. So I will finish off Stap and then I'll just go straight into signal data farming again. But that's my advice for hoarding for these double drops. Don't stop your hard nodes because it's going to be a lot more challenging for you to actually make that up. If you're going after the gear or stuff in the Cantina, yes, hoard away. But doing hard nodes does not make sense to me. The only other thing I'll say is that don't be hoarding energy if you're in the middle of a Galactic Legend farm. Because your Galactic Legend tickets don't go double dropped. So if you're in the middle of a GL ticket farm, don't hoard. It's not worth it. Just keep going through. People are going to say, oh, you're going to miss out on gear, but you're missing out on tickets. And tickets are way more valuable than gear. GL tickets are one of the most valuable things in this game. You can't afford to piss those away. Just one man's very humble opinion. And since they don't go double drops, hoarding doesn't benefit you at all that way. So again, I think, all that to say, keep farming your hard nodes. Any extra energy, bank it, and you can use that for double drops. But I still think you're better off trying to farm your hard nodes because it is very, very difficult to really get a ton of benefit out of those double drops unless it's over a longer period of time. If it was a whole week of double drops, maybe it's worth it. But for just a day with a limited number of refreshes that actually seem feasible, we're splitting hairs. Just the way I view it. Now, there are more territory battle issues, right? There's been, some more territory battle issues. Definitely kind of, I don't want to say, I'm going to show you guys kind of both sides to this, right? But I definitely think CG has made some mistakes, right? There's definitely some mistakes here. So let's go over to the forums real quick. And here was their post where they talked about it, where they said, hey, the team has been made aware of a situation where Beskar Mando is a required unit for the Mandalore unlock and Rise of the Empire, and is also a unit requirement in 4 operations on Kashyyyk. They are actively looking for a solution. When more information is available, I will update this thread. So no update yet as of, I think, let me just refresh this real quick. No update yet. However, I want to say that they were aware of this before this territory battle started, right? And here's why. They say it was needed for 4 operations, which I felt was worded. That's a very good wordsmithing on Meathead's part, right? Credit to you. However, let's go over to the game and let me show you guys why I think they were well aware of this. And just, I don't want to say they hoped that we didn't notice, that they were aware of it and this was their fix. When you go into Rise of the Empire here, and we look at, I want you just to first look at Bracca, right? So this was the second bonus zone we got, right? Here's Mandalore. Now, on Bracca, where the first special mission is, you need to get 30 completions and then star the zone to be able to unlock Zeffo, right? So you got to earn a star, and you've got to complete this mission 30 times. On Tatooine, where the new one is, you need 25 successful completions to unlock the Mandalore bonus zone, right? You need the star in 25 completions. Now, why did they go 5 less than the Bracca zone? And we're like, oh, they were just being nice, right? Well, they never do anything just out of the goodness of their heart, right? The real issue is actually that Beskar Mando is in, they said 4 operations, and that's correct. He is in 4 different operations. But when you look, here's Operation 3. So there's 1. Then we come down. There's 2. There's 3, 4, and 5. So yes, he's in 4 different operations, but he's needed 5 total times. So, like, it makes you wonder a little bit, right? Like, hey, I think we got right 5 times, or is it 3 operations? Hold on. Might only be needed in 3 operations, but he's needed 5 total times, right? Yeah. So he's needed in 3 operations, 5 total times. So now all of a sudden, those 25 completions to like win, right? All of a sudden the 25 total completions is the same as the 30 down below because there's 5 less Beskar Armor Mando, who's a required character for the mission. That to me is problematic. And I'm going to say the same thing here on the bonus zone of Mandalore, that like he's I believe a required character. Oh no, it's just Bo-Katan here. So now Bo-Katan with light side Mandalorians, right? Well, Beskar Mando can't be in this squad because, and I mean the Relic 9s, which is even worse, but you think Beskar Mando is required in operations like in these zones. But all of that said, I definitely think they knew about this, and I'm going to say that I'm very disappointed that they didn't notice this because they had 2 weeks. You think like last TB, they crashed it because they couldn't get I think their greed got the better of them. They were trying to rush Mandalore in there and it broke it. So they just had to cancel territory battles. So they had 2 weeks to not only work on this, but you think that somebody would have noticed during their testing that, hey, you know, we need Beskar Mando over here and then we're requiring him over here. So obviously this, and I can say that this has happened before. In Hoth territory battles, they actually did go in and change some of the operations because they were requiring Phoenix and Rogue One characters where they were necessary for combat missions, and so they changed that. So here's where I think I get a little bit nervous. Well, what characters do we use to take the place of these Beskar Armor Mando? Because when Rise of the Empire operations were first developed, you got to think that they were designed to be stagnant. They were supposed to never be changed. So with that, the characters were, hey, when Rise of the Empire was released, these are the characters that they used. So there was some layups, there was some toss-ups because they didn't have all these new ones. Well, now with these 5 Beskar Mando going away, and we've seen what the Mandalore operations look like, where there's the Stap in there, Darth Bane is in there, Marin, Trench. There's some of these newer released characters that are inside of there that are much more difficult that many guilds probably won't have at ready for relics, right? So my fear with Kashyyyk is that if they kind of go with some of these newer characters, this could really kill a lot of guilds being able to complete these operations. So again, I don't know what characters they'll choose. Maybe they'll give us layups. If I was CG, right, you have to look at this and say, all right, we were using the same character 5 times. Who would be a reasonable character to put here that would not sink a lot of different guilds? So you either pick, there's characters like Captain Rex could be a good one there. Or, and remember, it's light side too, so you can't even choose like dark side characters. You're light side characters, so there's far less to choose from there. You could throw more Jedi Knight Luke in there. You could throw more of this. You could throw more of that. Like characters that we have at Relic 7. Jedi Knight Anakin. There's some like player-friendly options. And then there's ones that I think are a little bit more realistic where we're thinking of Nisa and Captain Rex and Drogon. Some of these harder to acquire characters, newer characters. I wouldn't be surprised if we saw, like even Jedi Knight Cal Kestis potentially there. I mean, maybe not because I guess Jedi Knight Cal Kestis can't because of Zepho. But, I wouldn't be surprised if we saw some of these newer characters required in there simply because this is their opportunity to get everybody. So just be prepared for that. So a lot of stuff kind of going on, some good, some bad. Again, I think the TB stuff, they definitely need to get better at. Like, I think I feel like this is just, again, another example of them not paying attention to details, right? Like this is all details that somebody there is like, oh yeah, these are the characters we have for operations. Who do we like? I feel like that should be part of that process. And, I'll give them at least this benefit of the doubt. I didn't even think when they said, oh, Beskar Mando is required, I didn't even cross my mind to be like, oh yeah, we need him for operations somewhere. Like it didn't cross my mind, but it's not my job to think of that stuff, right? So, I get better CG, right? That's definitely low. So otherwise, guys, that's the end of the video. I would be preparing yourself, obviously, for Lightspeed bundles again. We've got more of those coming, so we'll do some additional videos on how to react from those things. Probably do a lot of roster reviews for you guys because that stuff's going to be very, very game-changing. And then, looking forward to watching Arnold stream Jar Jar later today. that's the end of the video. Love you all. May the force be with you, and I'll see you in the next one. Cheers, my friends.